It's well known that people have used religion as a weapon to further oppress and discriminate against homosexuals, but we often underestimate the extent they go. Here are some videos that explain this better.
Religion is love? No. Love has nothing to do with religion. No. Religion is an idea that someone pushes on you. Religion is judgment. Religion is suffering. Religion is conforming. Religion is establishment. All that. Love has nothing to do with religion. Love does not divide.
I'm so tired of y'all and this religion stuff. I'm tired of the way that so many of y'all use this religion thing as a reason to just be terrible humans, to shame people who don't make the same decisions as you, discriminate against others, to harm and to hurt. You know, religion at its core should simply just be a conduit between you and a spiritual power. That's what it should be. And within that conduit to spiritual power, you and the other people who share that same conduit share community. That's it. But no, so many of you all consider religion to be a belief system that allows you to not accept realities that make you uncomfortable. It makes you uncomfortable because your identity is rooted in fear, not love. And that, my dears, is not a conduit to a higher power. What it is a fast track to hatred and ignorance and low vibration behavior. Namaste.
The idea that the Bible condemns homosexuality is a myth. Please pause to read. The hypocrisy and selective outrage of Christians is also something I want to bring attention to. They love to spread the lie that gay people are quote-unquote child predators and deviants. Meanwhile, majority of the perpetrators of child abusers are heterosexual men. But Christians and religious people in general couldn't care less about that.
Finally, Christians are out in the streets demanding something be done about their minors and their churches being sexually abused almost every day in this country. Nope, they were counter-protesting Seattle Pride.
Another myth homophobes spread is that gay people are teaching kids or trying to convert them to quote-unquote make them gay. First off, that's not even how sexuality works. You can't turn someone gay the same way you can't turn someone straight. You're either gay or you're not. But before we gent into the messed up ways heterosexuals force people to be straight, watch this video of someone talking more about Christian hypocrisy.
No one is teaching your kids to be gay. Sometimes they just are gay.
You sure about that? What about the book used to force kids into following the lifestyle? These kids have adults demanding they abide by their beliefs, and if they don't, create fear through made-up stories. Threats of torture and punishment for not practicing and preaching, but label it as love. These lessons start even before kids can talk, so they have no cognitive ability to know the difference. But, oh wait, that's not about gay people, that's a different group. No one is teaching anyone how to be legitimate qua premium. We don't have a vacation gay school.
Why do y'all do this every time someone makes valid criticisms on Christianity and think it's some sort of gotcha? I will start talking about other religions in the way that I talk about Christianity when other religions start enforcing their beliefs onto the masses of the country that I live in through religious extremism. Y'all want to legislate your own personal morality, and then you're like, well, why don't you talk about Muslims this way? Right? Islam or Judaism or Hinduism or Buddhism, they're not being used as active tools in America to further white supremacist control, to further the oppression of already marginalized demographics. The reality is, Chad with the persecution fetish, no one gives a shit about whatever fairy tale you want to believe in. But when you start questioning actual healthcare because of your own personal opinions on morality, people who identify with your religion use that religion as a basis to strip personal freedoms from others, it's going to continue to get called out. If you're part of an oppressive demographic, especially voluntarily, like Christianity, you're more concerned with people's criticisms of that oppression than the actual harm a community you're a part of is contributing to, you don't care about freedom. You care about your privilege never being questioned. Like, buddy, this isn't a gotcha. You're just telling on yourself.
There's nothing to reconcile, because in the Quran, there is no condemnation of same-gender loving relationships. And I know. What about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is a story about a town that was doing horrible acts of rape, acts of incest, acts that we know in human psychology cause trauma and pain, not a condemnation of same-gender loving relationships, things that do not cause trauma and pain. What does cause trauma and pain, and even mental illness, is having to hide parts of yourself because people use religious texts against you.
If homosexuals can't get married because it's against your religion, then you can't have a cookie because I'm on a diet.
What are you being asked to teach that you don't want to teach?
Something that is against my faith.
Can you be a little more specific?
LGBT, for example.
When you say teach LGBT, what does that mean?
It has been made part of the curriculum, as you may know.
What is it they're asking you to teach that you object to?
You're asking me too many questions. I really.
Well, it's a very you object on grounds of your faith, Carl. This is obviously something you've thought about a lot.
The whole thing of teaching it, please. Yeah.
Are they asking you to say everyone should practice gay sex, and you object to that? Are they asking you to say that gay people exist in the world, and you object to that? What is it?
It's the whole practice. So my religion is against that. So I do find it myself very uncomfortable in teaching it.
Carl, I'm going to answer your question, then I'm going to move on. It is absolutely fundamental that teachers teach the curriculum. You cannot get out of teaching something you don't like by waving the religion flag. There are all sorts of cases on this. If you refuse to teach anything to do with homosexuality, I suspect you will be dismissed and you won't have a claim there.
The next topic I want to get into is the homophobia in the Black community. Black Americans have continuously reported the lowest levels of LGBT acceptance in all polls. Black culture is very conservative, and the church reigns supreme in most Black families. The only reason they vote left, Democratic, is because most Republicans are racist. They seem to be extremely obsessed with homosexuals, an odd combination of disgust, amazement, and curiousness. African Americans value hypermasculinity a lot. Anything away from that would condemn an African American male into ridicule from their friends and family, and quickly reprimanded if they're a young boy. Worse if you're a lesbian, as you're vulnerable to corrective grape. I recall a video which became viral on social media that shows a young Black boy dancing and his aunt slapping him, calling him a gay 4SSBH. The comments on social media were divided, some condemning her actions, and many others defending her. Regarding lesbians, the backlash is mostly the same as with other races, ethnicities. Black men with inflated egos who happily wear the Black men have big threeness stereotype cannot fathom that there are women out there who do not desire to sleep with them. They believe their P3ness is God's gift to women and love to invalidate lesbian sexualities, often saying, "Why do lesbians date girls that look like men? Hey, hey," among other asinine things. Many lesbians prefer femmes, feminine lesbians anyway. A lot of women cannot come from penetration. Strap-ons are an accessory, a toy that's not necessary but can be fun for some. There's a reason why lesbians org for some much more than straight women. It's very interesting how no male ever questions gay men who date feminine men, just lesbians.
The only group in society that is trying to force asexuality onto children is cis heterosexual conservatives. Y'all are the ones that have attached gender and sexuality to the most innocent things in society, including what toys your sons are allowed to play with. Y'all are the ones funding conversion camps where queer children are sent to be abused. Y'all are the ones passing laws based on your religious beliefs. And all the while making drag queens the scapegoat while doing nothing about the actual threats to children in this country. We are not trying to expose children to homosexuality to sexualize them. We just recognize that people don't just wake up on their 18th birthdays and decide what sexual orientation they are. There are gay children too. Children that already face higher rates of bullying, suicide, substance abuse, trafficking, and homelessness, which is a direct result of living in a society that ostracizes them. There are also straight children who have gay parents or peers that they will be exposed to whether y'all teach them about homosexuality or not. So I say all this to say that y'all's desire to keep homosexuality away from children is compromising the well-being of actual children. You motherfuckers find age-appropriate ways to explain divorce, death, sickness, marriage, reproduction, saving money, religion, and even kidnapping to children. The only reason y'all refuse to understand that the same thing can be done for homosexuality is because y'all are the ones with the agenda.
Is the agenda of the Black LGBT community? We want to know. Educate us, Black LGBTs.
My agenda as a Black queer person is for y'all to realize that there ain't no Black unity if it doesn't include us. Because it's become abundantly clear that a lot of cis heterosexual Black men are only concerned with liberation for cis heterosexual Black men. When it comes to queer Black folk or even straight Black women, if we died tomorrow, y'all would step over our bodies to continue to fight for your agenda. Y'all will rally around the likes of Lil Boosie and R. Kelly, Black men who have abused Black children, and then turn right around and spew hatred towards Dwayne Wade, somebody who's done nothing but support his child. Y'all continue to support artists and athletes who are colorist and abusive towards Black women, but Lil Nas X and Billy Porter are bad examples for being gay. And it just disgusts me that whenever there is gay representation among the youth, here y'all come talking about some, what about little Black boys? What men will they look up to? When not too long ago, we saw a viral video of a little Black boy being abused by his family for being gay. Abuse that is undoubtedly a result of the homophobia within our community. What about him? What about the Black people who have unalived themselves because they were scared to live openly as queer people? What about the Black trans people who are subjected to extreme violence from others in our community? And then y'all have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to ask us what homosexuality has done for the Black community. Because just like there were heterosexuals fighting for our liberation, there were Black gay people standing right beside them. So since we're separating the sexuality from the person, what has heterosexuality alone done for the Black community? When Black women are disproportionately affected by single motherhood. When the Black family income is still less than the white family income. Heterosexuality ain't stopped Black men from being herded into prisons like cattle and ain't stopped our youth from being subject to the same white supremacy that has disenfranchised us. So I'ma really need y'all to just stop the cap and say what it is. Y'all are not concerned with the preservation of the Black community. You just want to uphold the oppression of certain Black people, the same as any old white supremacist.
Uganda experiencing a deja vu?
Let's protect Ugandans. Let's protect our values.
This is about us. It's about our culture, our values.
These clips are from yesterday when Uganda's parliament rejected international criticism and passed a controversial anti-LGBTQ+ bill again.
The Western world will not come and rule Uganda.
You might be too young to remember, but something very similar happened 9 years ago. A law dubbed Kill the Gays by its critics, which also punished aggravated homosexuality and promoting same-sex relations, was passed and signed into law by President Yoweri Museveni. In response, Western governments suspended aid, imposed visa restrictions, and curtailed security cooperation. In the end, though, it was Uganda's own constitutional court who annulled the law on procedural grounds. It's not clear what will happen this time, but this is what an Ugandan citizen living in London recently told us.
I think the government is introducing this law for selfish reasons. It was trying to cover up for some of the bad things that are being done by the government.
What I also want to bring attention to is another tactic homophobes like to use. When it comes to homosexuals and Pride Month, they suddenly remember the existence of the U.S. military.
So do we really have a full month for the gays and only one day for the military? No. By my count, you actually have 36 unique opportunities throughout the year to celebrate members of the military and their families. 2 of those are entire months. November is Veteran and Military Families Month, and you just missed Military Appreciation Month in May. There are holidays for each branch of the military, for each of the reserves, for military families. There's even a holiday for K-9 veterans. I'll show you. That's 88 days of the year. 88 days in which you can recognize, appreciate, and celebrate members of the military. And if you're looking for military members to recognize during the month of June, may I recommend our more than 1 million LGBTQ plus veterans or our 65,000 LGBTQ plus active duty service members. You're welcome.
Another thing I really wish more people accepted is that homosexuality is in fact natural and is in no way against nature. Take a look.
Another question. Are human beings the only animals to actually exhibit homosexuality?
No. I think, have there been any mammal species that have not?
I'm not aware.
I'm not aware of any mammals.
But yes, it does impact other species as well.
Yeah, it's pretty widespread in the animal kingdom.
It's always so funny to me when homophobes try to use, like, I'm not scared of gay people as some big gotcha moment, because it just makes them look dumber. What do you think hydrophobic means? And you're probably going to say, oh, that things are scared of water? No, they repel water. Now, when you look up the definition of phobia, you'll notice that it's not just fear, it's also an aversion. Now, I'm just going to take a guess and say that you probably don't know what aversion means. It can mean a strong dislike or disinclination of something. So yes, you're homophobic because you don't like gay people. But beyond that, I would say that there is a level of fear there as well. Because you are scared of queer people just existing. Based on your other comments, you're scared of queer people being around your family, being around you in the world. So not only big yikes on you for not being able to look up phobia and knowing what it means, but also boo.
Photos like this shatter my heart.
Babes, why does it shatter your heart? As a pro-lifer, I thought adoption was the answer. What you meant to say is that it shatters your heart because it's a gay couple that's adopting that child and not a husband and wife. Listen, that's not all you said. Then you said this.
This precious baby girl was removed from her mother, the only person she has known.
I hear ya. That's how adoption works. When a mother intends to give her child up for adoption, once that child's birthed, okay, and there's a couple adopting it, it's no longer her child. Like, you have to know that, right? Skin-to-skin contact between a child and the parent is a very bonding moment, right? And if this woman's intention is not to keep the child and the parents are there and willing to do skin-to-skin contact, why shouldn't they? They are the parents. I don't know, maybe this was like surrogacy too. I have no idea, but guess what? It works the same way. I think the issue is that you said the quiet part out loud for a lot of people who think the same way as you. Adoption's a great option when it's going to a straight married couple. But as a pre-K teacher, I have to teach you something real quick. Families come in all different shapes and sizes. Some kids have 2 moms, some kids have 2 dads, some kids only have 1 parent. Some kids are raised by foster parents, some kids are raised by grandparents. If you're going to claim to be pro-life, the only concern you should have for a child is, are they going to a parent that's going to love them, keep them safe, and keep them happy and healthy?
I pretended to be straight when I was young. I told everyone I was straight, and it seemed like in my world there weren't really any other gay people. Although there was this one guy named Daryl, and one time he wore a leather miniskirt to the mall and everyone freaked out. But it was before the internet, and that's all I knew, was the tiny world around me. And then through the 90s, we had Will and Grace, and suddenly moms were watching Will and Grace on TV, and Ellen and RuPaul, and little by little through the TV set, I started to realize that I wasn't alone in the world. And then we had 2 decades of young people growing up in a world that allowed you to be a little more yourself, a little less ashamed, and a little less afraid. I know for some people it might look like today we have all of this gay TV stuff, trans stuff on TV and the media, and we have way more LGBTQ youth than ever before, and that's not right. There probably were a lot of people in that era who were more comfortable with just not seeing LGBTQ people. But for myself and a lot of others, it was a silent hell. And when we talk about protecting children, I know you're looking at this old man face, but it was the child version of this that was in all of that pain, that silent, secret pain all those years ago. Myself and a lot of others. Gay people exist. Trans people exist. Always have and always will. Make the world a safer, better place for everyone.
Pride flag does not sexualize children. What sexualizes children is the way the heteronormative patriarchy has sexualized children for hundreds of years.
Holiday time. I've seen a lot of people going there recently, so I'm thinking, how about the Maldives? No good. Really? Yeah, they're not a big fan of the gays there. Egypt? Pyramids, you've always wanted to see them. True. But I've also always wanted to not be stoned. Barbados? Potentially, but we can't hold hands. Jamaica? Potentially, but we can't hold hands. What about Malaysia? Loads of people go there. Ooh. Russia? Just joking. Dubai? No. I think we should just go Berlin again. Yeah, let's do that. I'll look for flights.
Do you know that many countries where same-sex marriage is legal still discriminate against lesbian mothers? Let's take a look at Germany, for example. If two women have a child together, only the biological mother will automatically be recognised as a parent, whereas the other mother will have to go through an adoption process to convince authorities she will be a good mother. This happens even if they're married. For married straight couples, the process is much simpler. The man is automatically recognised as the parent even if he's not the biological father. And when they're not married, he simply has to acknowledge his fatherhood at the registry instead of being assessed for months by public officers. And it isn't just a German thing. Actually, most European countries still have similar legislation.
If you're gay in Iran, they hang you from a crane until you die. They hang you from a crane until you die. And it's not like in the Western movies where, you know, your neck snaps. You are hanging there in agony for minutes.
Whoa.
Suffocating.
At age 15, I got beaten up badly by two gangs twice. My grandfather told me if I didn't stop running, I'd be running all my life. I stopped running and I haven't run a day since. I got scars all over my body. My body is 40 miles of bad road. Some of it wasn't at work, it was on the street, like helping some elderly person getting attacked. You can't walk past that. It really doesn't matter whether you're male, female. No one has the right to take your life or beat you down for it. It started with that Stonewall. They call it a riot, a rebellion. It was civil disobedience. They were banged and bruised and some were put in jail, but everyone got tired of being pushed around, of being raided. The cops got the surprise of their lives. Those queens were not going to take it any longer. I got a few hot licks against the cops. I have no regrets. If I did, I wouldn't have lived this long. So that was Stormé. Now I want to tell you a little bit about what Stormé achieved in her life, to show you how fruitful a life can be, no matter how hard it is. For over a decade, Stormé performed as a drag king. She was photographed by a world-famous photographer, Diane Arbus. She is now considered to have been an influence on gender non-conforming women's fashion, decades before unisex styles became accepted. Stormé claimed that they threw the first punch at Stonewall, and throughout the 80s and 90s, Stormé worked as a bouncer for several lesbian bars in New York City. She was a regular at Gay Pride, and for decades she served her community as a volunteer street patrol worker and named herself the Guardian of the Lesbians. That is